So the chapter I chose was talking about RISC and CISC computing. For an overview, RISC stands for Reduced Instruction Set Computing. The key idea of RISC is to make instructions simple and more efficient. Programs that use RISC usually contain more instructions per program, but they will be executed way faster than a program using CISC. Speaking of, CISC stands for Complex Instruction Set Computing, and the idea is to complete tasks using a smaller amount lines of codes. CISC is able to do multiple instructions based on one line of code. How is this important to computer organization? The simplicity of RISC allows computer processes to be faster and more predictable, which makes it easier for the people that have to oversee the coding to make any adjustments needed. My first article is by Priyanka called Understanding RISC and CISC Architectures, the Role of Load/Store Architecture. In the article, Priyanka explains the differences between RISC and CISC, the main focus being how the two computing sets handle instructions and how they both access memory. Priyanka states that RISC puts more emphasis on being simple, while RISC puts more emphasis on getting more tasks done in a short amount of coding. How does this relate to computer organization? It relates by saying how the two different instruction sets architecture, it highlights how RISC increases speed and efficiency, while CISC increases how many orders you can perform per instruction. The next article is by Geeks for Geeks called RISC and CISC and Computer Organization. The article talks about the pros and cons of using RISC versus using CISC, while also talking about the trade-offs for if you choose to use either. Geeks said, RISC's simplicity of the hardware increases processing times and decreases how much power is consumed, while CISC allows for more straightforward programming, reducing how many lines of code are needed in a program. How does this relate to computer organization? In the article, it talks about the ISA, which stands for Instruction Set Architecture. And it is a very important concept to understand when talking about RISC and CISC, since they both have two different instruction set architectures. One is simple and efficient, and the other is more straightforward. The third article is by Adisha Paratap Punya, Understanding Essential Elements of a Well-Designed CISC Architecture for Modern Computing. This article took a deeper look into CISC architecture and the different components that make it up, and the main features of long instruction sets. A part of CISC design is the microprogramming. Basically, microprogramming is when complex instructions are broken down into smaller, more bite-sized instructions, which allows for the ability to change instructions without having to move the hardware around. How does this relate to computer organization? The article about RISC is directly talking about computer organization and how it changes the bigger instructions to be easier for people to read and execute. The last article is called What is RISC by arent. This one is more focused about the simple sets of instructions that RISC can use and the general purpose registers that they use to store data locally. An important feature of RISC is that it's fixed instruction format, where all the instructions are uniform size, making it easier for the processor to decode and execute them efficiently. How is this important to computer organization? This article directly relates to computer organization by explaining how the design principles of RISC architecture affect the overall structure and operation of a computer system. These are my works cited.